What's up, y'all? I'm Shayla Nicole, and today is Women Entrepreneurship Day. I am so excited about that because I am a woman in business, and I just absolutely love celebrating women in business and anybody really for that matter who has taken a leap of faith and they've taken the steps to go out there and just take the risk of being their own boss. I think that it is remarkable, and it's not to say that those of us who have decided to take that journey are more of risk takers or that we're better than anyone who works a 9 to 5. But I think that it is something to be celebrated, and it is something that is a huge accomplishment in some of our lives, especially if that was our ultimate goal. So, today I want to talk about the top 4 things that I have learned since being an entrepreneur. So, without further ado, let's jump in. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Shayla, and I'm a digital content curator and strategist. Here on my channel, you are going to find no nonsense, non boring tips on how to run your business and your brand and how to level up your social media content. So, if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and click the like and subscribe buttons, and let's jump right into today's topic. There are a couple of things that I have learned since being an entrepreneur. And just to give you a little bit of a backstory, I actually was forced into entrepreneurship. I always had a side hustle or some sort of business that I did on the side, but it was never really in my plans this early on in life to run my own business. But some unforeseen circumstances happened, and it just thrusted me into entrepreneurship, which I believe that all things happen for good reason and with purpose. And so I am so grateful that it actually happened to me, because I think that if it hadn't, I would not have taken that journey. But now that I've taken those steps, I want to share with you some things that I've learned along the way. And of course, there are several things that I've learned, and I really don't have a lot of time to dive into all of those. So I kind of had a tough time narrowing down this list, but I managed to narrow it down to 4 things that I want to talk about today. Now, this is in no particular order. It's not something that, I feel like these 4 things are more important than other things that I will share in the future, but these are the things that I really want to touch on for today's topic. So, the first thing is to build a team, but be self sufficient. What I mean by that is when I first started out as an entrepreneur, I was more so like a solopreneur. I had to do everything in my business. So at 66 Media, we do social media management for clients, we do web design, and we also do video production and editing. So that means that I knew how to do everything in the business because I had to. I had to design all the websites. I had to edit the videos myself. I had to do social media for clients on top of doing social media for myself, on top of editing my own video. Like, it was just a lot. I had to do everything when I first started out in business. And as I began to grow and scale my business, I started to slowly build a team. But because I had to do everything myself in the beginning, I was very self sufficient. And so I spent a lot of time on Google, a lot of time on YouTube. YouTube and Google are your best friends, okay? Like, there's so much that you can just go out there and research and watch and learn how to do yourself. But I think that the beauty of me being self sufficient is that there is nothing that I'm going to ask someone on my team to do that I don't know how to do myself. Reason being is because I feel like if something were to happen, if somebody didn't, show up for work that day, or, somebody left, or I got rid of somebody and we're in transition of filling that role, my clients can't suffer because of that. So if I have to dive in and do that myself, I will. So I had to be very self sufficient, but I made sure that when I got to the place that I could grow and scale my business, that I started to focus more on building a team. And in building a team, that means that now I can take on more clients because I'm more so focused on being the visionary in the business. I provide creative direction and I give leadership, but my team is who executes everything. The second tip that I want to share is do not be afraid to rewrite the rules. When I first started out, there were a lot of things that I was just going, hold on. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not allowing this to happen. We're not going to say this, or clients can't do this, or I can't do that. And as you grow and develop in your business, there are going to be some things that you are going to need to tweak. And so don't get so hung up on this is how this has to be. Be very flexible. But once you start to put those rules in place, stick to those rules. Make sure that you are not necessarily doing different things based on different clients or customers or whatever, but don't be afraid to rewrite the rules and don't be afraid to make adjustments as you grow. The same thing that you did when you first started out in your business is not going to be the same thing that you do, years down the line. I've been in business full time now, almost 4 years. And there are some things that I would have done early on in my business on day one that I don't do now, almost 4 years later. It's almost like when you're a child. When you're 4 years old, you don't want the same things when you're 40 years old. And that's because you've grown and you've adjusted. And so the same thing with your business. Your business is going to start off as your baby. And as that baby grows, that baby needs new shoes that fit. They need new clothes that fit. So you have to kind of be able to make adjustments and just go with the flow. The third thing is to know when opportunity knocks. There are going to be some opportunities that are presented to you, and you have to have a spirit of discernment as a business owner and just as an individual. Be in tune with yourself and know whether or not these are opportunities that you should take on. A lot of people will approach you and say, can you do this for exposure? Well, let me tell you, honey, you're in business. This is not a hobby. This is not a side hustle for you. If you don't work, you don't eat. And if you don't grind, you don't shine. So you cannot afford to just take on opportunity for the sake of exposure. All right. Because when your light bill is due, you cannot pay it in exposure. When your car note is due, you cannot pay it with exposure. When your mortgage is due, you cannot pay it with exposure. So there's only so much exposure or things that or opportunities that you can take on in the namesake of exposure. Sometimes I may take on a project for a client with a greater reward in the end. So let's just give an example, and there's going to be a little bit of math involved, but I'm going to use even numbers so it just makes it easier. Okay. So let's just say that I have a client that comes to me and they say, hey, I want you to do this for me, but can you give me a discount? And I promise I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you for all of my stuff. I'm going to use you for a lot of stuff in the future. I may say, okay, cool. Because let's just say that they're getting 5 things for me. And in the end, it would have cost them $10,000. So I don't want to lose out on this $10,000 client, right? So if they're asking me for a discount and I say, it does make sense for me to do this, it would be great to have this customer on my resume or whatever. And I do decide that I want to do that business with them. What I may do is I may go ahead and give them a discount, but I apply the discount on the back end because what may happen is sometimes you have people that come to you, they get that discount, they get that one thing, and then they don't come back with the other business that they promised you. So what I may do is I may say, okay, well, the first 2, I'm going to charge you full price for those. And then when we get to your 3rd, your 4th, and your 5th one, that's where we're going to apply the discount. So that's just an example of knowing when that opportunity knocks and how to kind of work with people and work with your clients and your customers when things like that or situations like that present themselves. And then my last tip, which is probably my favorite, this really should have been number 1. But my last tip is It is not who you know, but who knows you. A lot of times you will hear people say, oh, get out there, network, pass out your business card, make sure that you know so and so and you know so. No, 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 no. I don't live by that. I don't typically network and seek out business. What has worked for me is not so much me knowing somebody else, but it's somebody else that knows me. So it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. It's about who is saying your name in the rooms, at the meetings, in the boardrooms that you're not even privy to being in. So it's very important that you promote yourself, you promote your services and whatever it is that you offer, whether that be on social media, whether that be just through word of mouth and conversation, that you tell people who you are, what you can do for them, how knowing you can be beneficial to them in their business or in their life. And then those people, they'll start to refer you and stuff like that. So it's not all about who you know, but who knows you. So I'm hoping that this information was very useful for you. I hope that if you are an entrepreneur, that maybe you learned something new today. And if you aren't an entrepreneur, but you have the desire to be one, keep working at it, keep striving at it. You never know when it may happen for you. And I just hope that, this video was really helpful. So if you did, in fact, find this video useful, if you learned something new, do me a favor and tell me in the comments. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel and that you follow me on social media at the Shayla Nicole. All right.